Hello, everyone. Shalom. Meghla, you need to learn at least a couple of words in Hebrew.
Yes,
Uh,
teach me.
shalom. Shalom is
Shalom.
is hello. Yes. So everyone
Hmm.
that joins us, feel comfortable. If you want to open your camera, it's okay. If not, it's all also okay. We are very liberal here, so feel comfortable. We will wait a couple of minutes, 4 more minutes for the people to join, to find the link everywhere, um, and then we will start. Of course, it will be in English if anyone is surprised. So I'm sorry. Yes, of course. Meghla still doesn't speak Hebrew, uh, but believe me, it will be okay. And anyway, if you have any
אחד,
questions in
אחד,
Hebrew, that's also okay. You can ask me questions in the chat in
אחד,
Hebrew,
אחד,
and
אחד,
I will translate it into English. Don't worry. Um,
אחד.
yeah, we can hear you, but guys, turn off your microphone because we want only to see you, not you to interrupt us. I see more and more people coming in. Okay, I will mute you guys, whoever doesn't mute himself. So sorry about that. Yeah, okay, great. So it's been a while since we did our last webinar. We've been on a break on August, or to be honest, I was on a break. Had to be with the kids at home with no kindergarten, so it was hectic August, but it's pretty much for everyone. So we are back on track with our monthly webinar live, and we are starting our Q4 season with a hot topic that many of you guys I saw were interested in. You were asking questions. You were posting some posts about some alternatives to China and working with China. We'll speak, of course, about the current problems in China as well. But the idea is also to open your mind to the fact that there are much more other destinations where you can source from. And I think also it's like a strategic timing right now, because I always say there is like a annual cycle of on Amazon. And usually it's like first quarter, you are thinking about the product, you're researching, you're sourcing, you're gathering information. The second quarter is very comfortable for production and shipping out. The third quarter is really good for launching, gathering first reviews, and of course, gaining organic positions. And then you can even reorder once again to be ready for Q4. And then you will kind of enjoy Q4 already with nice sales. So this is a perfect timing because you have a couple of months until the end of the year to think about this other place where you can source products from. So this is like a short intro about why we're doing this live, and of course we also will discuss like very interesting countries that I've never looked into them when I was sourcing countries. And that, of course, will be first of all India, which is a great powerhouse for production, a rising star, I think, in the world. And there's a lot of things to know, and cultural, business-wise, and we will covering the bread and butter of Meghla. But also, we'll discuss Vietnam, which is also, by the way, a rising star in Asia. And it's very interesting to hear about Vietnam as well. And we have a surprise, an extra country, which is our best friends right now, Turkey. And I know, guys, that you might have ambivalent feelings about Turkey, but hey, Turkey is a huge manufacturing power as well. and serving a lot of companies in the European market as well, but of course also in the worldwide. So it will be also interesting to hear about the production industry in Turkey as well. Okay, so with no further ado, it's the 5 minutes of grace that I'm giving to people to join are over. Meghla, welcome.
Thank you so much, Guy. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for joining, and thank you in advance for sharing all your information and all the tips that we're going to have here, and of course also the great benefits that you're going to share with our community in the end. So let's start first to, a quick introduction, who you are, where are you from, what company are you representing, how you came up with, the living and breathing sourcing, and maybe a little bit about your story.
Cool. Yeah. So I've been living and breathing sourcing for 24 plus years now. I'm old. So yeah, but I've been in the sourcing industry for a really long time. I started in India, then I moved to the Philippines, then I was in China for almost 10 years, and in Singapore. And then 2 years ago, I moved back to India to focus full time on helping global importers source products from India. So I'm the co-founder of India Sourcing Network. And we primarily do sourcing trips, and we also help people source products from India for their brands. A lot of our clients are, of course, Amazon e-commerce sellers, but we also have other types of distributors, brands, retailers as our clients. And we've also recently started sourcing in Vietnam and also in Turkey. And I mean, our entire focus is really on China alternatives, because we believe that, China is becoming more difficult to work with. Of course, China is still the manufacturing powerhouse of the world, and it will remain so for quite some time. There's no doubt about it. But moving forward, the global sourcing landscape is going to be more fragmented. There are going to be many more sourcing destinations that specialize in specific products. So we are, sort of gearing towards those destinations. But we also have a small sourcing team in China. And, there are some products that you have to source in China. For example, electronics. There's no other country really that can do electronics as of now. So we do have a small team in China as well.
Okay, let's dive a little bit before about what you said. Looking for alternatives to China. What actually is going on in China in the recent post-COVID years that you can see and share? Like, what are the problems with China right now?
One of the biggest problems with China, and this is not something new. This has been happening for the last, 5-7 years, and this is not related to COVID as such. But even before COVID, production costs are becoming more expensive because China is growing. China is moving up the value chain. Salaries are increasing, for example, and living standards are getting better. So there are fewer people who want to do factory jobs, for example, and so the pay scales have to rise. And then rent and property is getting more expensive. So overall, production in China is getting more expensive. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of the low-end production is actually moving out of China. And again, this is not something new. A lot of the low-end garment productions, for example, moved out of China has been moving out for 5-7 years now. So they're moving out to lower cost destinations like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, Indonesia, Vietnam. So in fact, a lot of the things like, T-shirts, socks, the very basic items are already being manufactured in all of these different production. Exactly, textile-based products. And China itself wants to move up the value chain. So they themselves don't want to do these kind of low-value products that are not bringing them too much, too many dollars as such. They want to focus more on electric cars and high tech, and they are doing more R&D and producing more sophisticated products. So that's one thing that has been going on, which is the main reason why a lot of these production hubs have come up. Secondly, in 2018, there's this whole trade war that started between the US and China. And that has triggered a lot of uncertainty in the whole international trade. landscape, because previously it was only Trump, because he imposed these additional tariffs on imports coming from China, and they're of course still known as Trump tariffs. But now this year, even Biden introduced some of the tariffs, and they were pretty high for some products. Of course, not a lot of them were like Amazon products that you and I would buy, but still they were quite significant on a lot of the industrial kind of products.
And we are about maybe to have a second episode very soon in November after the elections. And it's interesting that you're saying that it's even the Democrats. So it's even if Kamala Harris will win, we still might have the same impact going on.
Exactly. So I mean, the trade war it looks like it's deepening, and so that's another reason why even a lot of the larger companies, they're diversifying their sourcing and they're looking for alternative markets, because they don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. So that's another thing that's happening. Also, a lot of the other production hubs, they specialize in specific materials or specific kinds of products that you cannot find in China. And this is especially important for Amazon sellers, because a lot of Amazon sellers are like, almost everybody is sourcing in China, and they're sourcing the same products. So competition is very high for specific kinds of products. Of course, there's many people who develop their own products and they modify, they customize. But by and large, the majority of Amazon sellers are just buying off-the-shelf products from Alibaba. And then 2 weeks after they launch, their manufacturer basically launches on the listing and becomes their competitor. Right. So that is a big issue as well for Amazon sellers.
Intellectual property.
Issue. Exactly. And the reason for that is because a lot of the Chinese manufacturers are selling directly on Amazon, which is not really the case in other manufacturing countries, because they most of the manufacturers still specialize in B2B, and they want to focus on manufacturing. They don't want to sell like one piece. They still prefer doing shipping in containers. That's their business model. That's what they want to do. So I think those are some of the key reasons why people are looking to source from alternative
I bet
markets.
there are much more, but we cannot speak about all of them. So you can share your slides, and we'll start to go over your presentation. And meanwhile, I just will say that you just mentioned exactly the same reasons that I was speaking with the community like a couple of months ago, when I was speaking about differentiating the business, not differentiating the product. Like everybody speaks like, how can I differentiate my product? But I was speaking about how we should differentiate our business approach towards Amazon. And one of the aspects there was stop working with China and having alternatives, because a lot of shit can also happen with China, the geopolitical situation, and so on. So that's I'm happy that an expert is saying the same things that I kind of predicted a couple of months ago. Okay, let's start.
All right, let's get started. So here are some of the topics that we're going to be covering today: why you should consider India, Vietnam, Turkey, pros and cons of each country, what types of products you can source, some sourcing tips, and also we're going to talk about our sourcing trips that we do in each of these 3 countries. And how do we want to take questions, guys? So should people just take note of their questions and we'll take them towards the end?
Everybody can ask questions if you want, guys. Just ask in the box in written form, and I will be asking questions during the slides.
Okay, cool. All right. So I think, we discussed quite a bit of this already. So some of the reasons why you should consider alternative markets: there's no trade tariff for the US. If you're dealing only with China, there's more geopolitical risk, and you're basically putting all your eggs in one basket if you are sourcing only from China. So here are some headlines that I had taken a screenshot of, and these are like actually from January and February, but even recently, there has been talk about additional tariffs, even if Biden comes, or not Biden, or the
Can you
Democrats
mention a couple
of
materials or products that we know there is commission on?
So for tariffs, first of all, a lot of like bags, I know that they have tariffs, very high tariffs. Actually, it's a very exhaustive list. It's a lot of different bags, like even PU bags and other types of bags, not necessarily only leather. It's a very large and very exhaustive list, actually. And there's a lot of wooden items. There's disposable products. There's lots of items. Yeah, quite a few. Also, as we mentioned, rising production costs in China and lower labor costs in emerging markets. So if your product is actually labor intensive, like, garments, for example, it does require labor. You need somebody to cut and sew the garment, or maybe a bag. Those kinds of products are better produced in these lower labor cost markets, such as India and Vietnam, because the labor cost of the overall production cost is pretty high. Many of these processes can't really be automated. Okay, we also talked about this, better IP protection. So in general, your IP is safer in other countries than it is in China. Unique products. So a lot of the countries have very unique products that you can source and differentiate your business, as you said. So for example, in India, there are a lot of local handcrafted products that are made from natural materials, such as metal, wood, glass, and also different fabrics. Vietnam really specializes in rattan, seagrass, ceramics, marble. Turkey has Turkish cotton towels, furnishings, carpets, and we'll go over some of the, in more detail, we'll go over the products. But the whole idea is that you can find very unique products in different countries that you're not able to find in China. Okay, so let's look at the pros and cons of each country now. So first of all, India, low labor costs. In fact, the labor costs in India are like 1/3 of the labor costs in China. So that's a huge advantage. Very unique products, low MOQs. Now, low MOQs are mostly for handmade products. There is a huge industry of handmade products in India. So those products have low MOQs because there's no like machinery or, extensive molds that are involved. I mean, there are some molds involved, but they're more basic molds than, let's say, plastic injection kind of molds. And suppliers also have this concept of MOV, which means minimum order value. So you can basically buy a range of different products as long as you meet the supplier's MOV, let's say, which is usually, $5,000, $6,000, $8,000. And so this is very advantageous if you're just starting out, or if you want to test a range of SKUs. So you can buy, a range of SKUs worth like $5,000, $6,000, test them, and then come back and reorder the ones that sell better. There's a growing wealthy middle class.
It's actually very crucial for Amazon sellers. And one of the problems with China with large MOQs right now. And so, that's very relevant, and also answers the question that somebody asked here about like comparison in terms of MOQ. So I hope that answers that.
Yeah. And MOQs for certain items can be, higher because let's say it's a textile-based product and you require some sort of a customized print, then the MOQ might be higher. You can't just source like, 6 pieces or something because you have to get the fabric printed, and, to run the machine, they need like 1,000 meters or something. But still, though, even those MOQs are actually less than they are in China. And also for textiles, there are handloom textiles that you can source, or maybe, there's hand block printing that can be done. So those MOQs are much lower. So there's a lot of different options available for textile-based products as well. There's a growing wealthy middle class. So in case your product is relevant, you can even sell in the domestic market on Amazon India. In fact, Amazon India is very, very popular in India. There are, I think it has like 30-40% market share in terms of the overall e-commerce, market in India. So, and everything is in English, right? So Amazon India is in English. So you can easily bring your listing from the US to India, and your product is already being manufactured here. So you just ship it directly from the factory, to fulfill, or there are FBA centers in India as well. So that's something that you can easily do. There are a lot of recent government reforms that are encouraging manufacturing. Ease of communication. So most suppliers that you deal with will speak in English, so it's easier to communicate. The accent might be a little different when you go from North India to South India.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, but what about the accent?
Exactly. But if you listen carefully or be patient, or, you can get a hang of it really. In fact, when I go to South India,
communication is written communication. Nobody really, speaks a lot on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. But actually in India, that works a lot, like speaking on WhatsApp and video calls and everything. That is very much more effective than email. So that's just a tip.
That's also kind of a differentiator because it's much more
Yeah.
personal.
Exactly. Better IP protection. We talked about that. Eco-friendly products. So this is something that India specializes in. If you are building a brand around, like say natural materials, or you want to go plastic free, for example, then India is a good option. And we'll talk about some of the products in subsequent slides. There's no long Chinese New Year holiday in India or any of the other countries as well. Vietnam does have a New Year, which is kind of similar to Chinese New Year, but it's not as long. China is like 1 month, and then 2 months before the holidays and 2 months after the holidays, you can feel the effects of the Chinese New Year holiday. But India has more holidays spread across the year. So like every 3 weeks there's going to be a holiday, and you're going to hear from us like, oh, sorry, we couldn't do this because it was a holiday. Overall, India has good relations with the West, so that is also helpful. What are the cons? Limited product range. So of course, China makes anything and everything, but India has a specific range of products that it can make. It's not easy to find suppliers in India. There is Alibaba, there is global sources, but still most suppliers are very traditional. They still prefer to exhibit at trade shows to get their clients, or maybe through word of mouth, for example, or via sourcing agencies. So it's not easy to find suppliers. And even if you do find suppliers, let's say on Alibaba, for example, a lot of them are going to be trading companies. They're not manufacturers. So the best way to find Indian suppliers, and specifically for, like home decor, home product items, is to come to this trade show that happens twice a year. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well. There are high corporate taxes. Infrastructure improvements are in process. So, for example, infrastructure in China is, of course, really good. The roads are amazing. The ports are very advanced and everything. However, in India, there is a lot that can be, of course, improved.
Does it impact, for example, the way products are delivered? Of course, the time leading, but also like maybe accidents and bad trucks that are loading the boxes, have you heard about how the infrastructure actually affects maybe stock and value?
Yeah, the one major effect is during the rainy season. So from around June to September is the monsoon season in India, and it starts from South India and goes up to the north. So during monsoon, there are some days when it rains excessively and there's flooding, and that kind of disrupts movement of goods. Sometimes when you are producing, let's say, wooden products or other items that are made out of paper, for example, that might get affected because the moisture level is too high. If you're doing things like block printing, the prints don't come out that well. So there are little things. So monsoon season is one thing that really affects production in many different ways.
That's actually a very good tip. So guys, if you want to manufacture in India, better to do it in the first half,
exactly.
the first half year, like from January to June.
Yeah. And I really like what you said, like Q2 is when you do the production, Q1 is your research, Q2 production, Q3 launch, and Q4 just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah.
Lack of automation in many industries, and one of the main reasons for that is the cheap availability of labor, of course, because if you can get cheap labor, then why invest hundreds and thousands of dollars or millions of dollars in machinery? Sometimes Indian suppliers tend to overpromise and underdeliver. So this is something that you've got to be aware of. And they might say that, oh yeah, we can do this, and at the end of the day, they might outsource it to somebody, or they might not be able to
you just touched,
deliver on time.
You just touched like the number one problem that I hear from Israeli that tried to source in China, in India. So there was like a big gap between what they were promised and how it was delivered in the end. And I think I also spoke with you about it when we spoke personally. So there's like a sense that maybe many of the factories are like yes men, like they want to really to please us, the buyers, and raise the expectation. It will be interesting to understand like how to get this, like how to close this gap, or is there any way to handle this problem if we communicate directly with suppliers? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there are many strategies to do this and to really get them to agree on specific, things. I mean, one basic tip is just to follow up regularly. So once you place an order, you can't just forget about it. You've got to keep calling them. Like that's what half my team does this all day long. They're just calling up suppliers and following up on orders and okay, where's that sample and where's that order now and when's the inspection and things like that. So you have to keep following up with them. You can also, of course, get them to agree on specific dates and push them to, pressure them to actually meet those deadlines and meet the dates. Because especially for handcrafted products, there's a lot that they can't control. So, for example, the wood, they have to source the wood from somewhere else, and maybe the wood did not dry properly, or they have to outsource certain processes, and that subcontractor did not deliver for some reason. So there are a lot of moving parts, in terms
what
of
about contracts. Can I make the supplier to sign a contract with me with specifications like what we agreed on? Is that something that happens?
Definitely, you should totally do that. In fact, there are two things. So one is like if you're placing multiple orders with a supplier, you can sign an agreement with them that is broader, that covers all the different things like payment terms, in general, and delivery lead times, and what kind of penalties you might want to impose on them in case there are delays. And then for each order, you of course have all of the specifications and everything in your purchase order. That's where you include all the specifications for that order.
What about
or if you're just placing so inspections, yes, you should definitely mention that you are doing inspections. So first of all, you should do inspections. If you are placing an order of over $10,000, do 2 inspections, one midline and one pre-shipment final inspection, when around 70 to 80% of the products are packaged or packed.
Is that also like in China, like it's recommended to do like 10-15%? It's okay to just sample the inspection, or to be much more aggressive with that? Like I personally do, it's 100% inspection on all the units that were manufactured.
No, we don't really do 100% inspection unless there is a serious issue that we found in the order. So generally we follow AQL standards. And based on AQL standards, it's generally about 10, 15, 20% of the overall order. And then they're randomly selected samples from, all the different cartons. But when you've done the first inspection, let's say 50% or, 20% of the products have issues, then you maybe want to go ahead and do 100% inspection.
And they usually follow the inspection, like they change the problems quickly, the defects and everything.
So again, it really depends. I mean, there's no one answer to that. It depends on the supplier. It depends on the product. Of course, any supplier will resist if it's a big change because it's a cost to them. So they will try to, kind of say that, okay, no, this is the way that you asked for it.
Especially if it's a handmade product.
Exactly, especially if it's a handmade product, because it's very subjective, the handmade product, right? Because for some people, they might say, oh, I want it absolutely perfect. But others might say, I don't want it perfect, because that's the beauty of handmade products, that they are unique and each piece is different. So what's very important is right at the beginning, you should sit down and think about what are the things that you don't want in the product. And sometimes you might miss things because you don't know that this can go wrong with a specific material or with a specific product. And that's where a sourcing agency comes in handy, because we've sourced that product before and we can tell you that, hey, for wood, these are the 5 things that you need to be aware of, and this is what we will check. Give the supplier a checklist. Give the supplier a QC checklist before they start production. So what we do at our agency is once we have the order, then we prepare a document that is a product spec sheet and a QC checklist, and it has all the information that the supplier might need in one document. That's another issue that happens nowadays because a lot of the communications are on WhatsApp. In India, WhatsApp is used more than any other messaging platform. And so, things get lost because suppliers forget that something was said in WhatsApp. And so that's why it's good to have like one document that has all the information about the product.
We have a very interesting question from Itzhak. He says, like, Chinese have become very expert in getting certifications and standards. And what about like Indians manufacturers? That they already have these standards as well?
Yes, definitely. So in India, there are all types of factories. There are small workshops with like 15 workers and no certifications, and they're gigantic, very professionally run large companies that only cater to like big companies like JCPenney or Walmart, and they have all of the certifications because that's required by the buyers. So you'll find all types of suppliers. Generally, for Amazon sellers, you want to source from like mid-sized companies. You don't want to go to very large companies because we are small fish for them. And they won't really prioritize our orders. They only want they want containers. You don't want to go to very small suppliers because then there are going to be quality issues. So we generally like to work with like mid-sized companies that are, growing. They are more hungry for orders and they're more collaborative and they want to, work with you. Even for small orders, they're happy to do that.
What about like standards for Amazon? Is that something that they're getting familiarized as well? Because Amazon, there's like a packing standards, master cartons standards, how barcoding.
So not all suppliers are familiar with the Amazon standards. And that's again where, the agency comes in. So like we specialize in Amazon. So we have these guidelines in our document that the master carton should not be more than 25 inches. The weight should not be more than 22 kgs and, things like that. So not all suppliers are familiar with them. But of course, suppliers that do supply.
You need to make sure and double check this.
Exactly.
Yes.
You have to, you have to specify that.
Last question about this slide. So also from the audience. So India is very strong in raw materials. Is that correct? Like products that are coming from raw materials from the nature. Is that something that is the Indian forte?
Materials. Correct. Natural materials.
Okay, great.
So like, for example, cotton. India is the biggest supplier of cotton. And some like India and China are two main manufacturers of cotton. And in some years, India is ahead and in other years, China is ahead. But then there's other things like wood, metal, ceramics, glass, all of jute, all of those kinds of fabrics.
By the way, wood is something that I know that is in Trump's taxes. Like I know there's extra taxes from China about certain woods. Which is good to know. Right. And what about bamboo wood? Is that something?
Okay,
also?
So bamboo wood, China makes a lot of the engineered bamboo wood. So where they actually make planks out of bamboo and then they make products out of that. In India, there's not too much of that yet. They mostly take like literally the bamboo shoot and carve things out of it or make things out of the bamboo shoot or maybe cut it into strips and weave it into different things. But the actual like bamboo wood products, that's actually from either Vietnam or China. That's engineered bamboo wood. Okay, so let's keep moving ahead here. Vietnam. So again, Vietnam pros low labor costs, definitely lower than China and slightly more expensive than India. Skilled labor. A lot of big brands have set up factories here. So for example, Nike has set up their shoe factory, maybe like 8-10 years ago. And that really boosted the overall supply chain and production of footwear. So once like a big brand sets up their factory, then the supply chain of that product develops, and then other local companies also start setting up factories. Low corporate taxes, FDI inflow, especially from China. So there are a lot of companies or factories that are China owned or China invested in Vietnam. And especially after the trade war started between the US and China, a lot of these Chinese companies actually set up factories in Vietnam to circumvent those high tariffs. So you find that if it's good and bad in a way. Like if you are familiar with working with China, then you find that you find the same kind of factories here in Vietnam as well. But some people prefer to work with local Vietnamese factories because they say that we're moving out of China for a reason, and we want to basically work with locals in the country where we're sourcing from. So there are different perspectives. There are a lot of government incentives for different factories and industries specifically. So that has really given a boost to manufacturing in recent years. Vietnam has free trade agreements with many countries. So there is actually no duties at all for many products if you are sourcing them from Vietnam. Vietnam also has good relations with the West. In terms of the cons, there's of course limited product range. Just like India, Vietnam specializes in certain products, and we'll go over those products. Not easy to find suppliers, so similar issue. Again, there is global sources, there is Alibaba, but still most of the suppliers are, not online. And even if you do find suppliers, it's very hard to really tell what the scale of the factory is, what they really specialize in, what types of markets do they cater to. Like all of that information is very difficult to, judge just from the basic information that you can find on marketplaces. So again, the best way to work in Vietnam is either to go there, visit factories, of course, if you're sourcing in higher volumes, that makes sense, or source via a sourcing agency. You can also try to find, search for suppliers online. Just go to Google and search for Vietnam suppliers plus your product. That's also, workable. But a lot of the factories' websites, again, are in Vietnamese. So language is actually, language can be a barrier in Vietnam because not a lot of people speak very fluent English. So this can sometimes be a barrier, and you might have to take a translator with you if you travel to Vietnam to visit factories or, visit a trade show, for example. And but usually suppliers do have some English-speaking staff, but that might be an issue. High interest rates, high inflation rates. So this is something that we experienced when we went over there for our Vietnam sourcing trips. Materials need to be imported from China. So a lot of the materials.
How the rates impact the regular buyer? If you can give an example.
So high interest rates, like if a factory, for example, wants to take a loan to set up a factory or to buy raw materials or to invest anything, to expand their factory, for example. So the interest rate will, of course, affect their overall cost. So
that they might roll up on the clients, maybe.
They will. They have to. Where else will they recover the cost, right? They have to do that. So in many cases, products in Vietnam are cheaper, but in a lot of cases, they're not. Even though labor costs are lower, China still, can beat India, Vietnam, a lot of different countries in prices because China has volumes. They have very well-established supply chains in many industries. So, for many products, China, other countries will not be able to beat China's prices, So that's another thing to consider. Materials need to be imported from China. So especially like Vietnam does a lot of apparel and things like functional fabric for swimsuits, for example, or any other type of specialty polyester fabric that needs to be imported from China. But there is more production of textiles that is happening in Vietnam gradually, but still a lot of the materials need to be imported. So
that's exactly the question that somebody just asked about why big brands are opening manufacturing lines and start to produce in Vietnam. So you just answered they're specialized in apparel and clothes and textiles.
Exactly. And one of the main reasons they're doing this is because there's low cost labor. That's one of the biggest reasons. incentives by the government over there, and they don't want to put all their eggs in one basket, which is China. So
And also there's
Nike
like
did that.
and the problems with exploitation of children labor in China. Have you heard about things like that in the other countries?
So I mean, there are issues like this. There can be issues like this in other countries as well. In China, I don't think there's too much like child labor, in China as well nowadays. But there is that whole
It's mainly like
Xinjiang issue.
human rights, like the
Yeah.
facilities, the restrictions, the culture of the work. Like big brands starts to care about that because this is how they stand behind their brand, right?
Exactly. And that's a difference that I personally have noticed, visiting factories in China, Vietnam, India, and all. When you go to a Chinese factory, you'll see all of these workers sitting at their assembly lines, and they're almost like working like robots. They'll be looking down, they'll be doing whatever they're doing, and they will not even look up. They'll not smile at you, nothing. But whereas if you visit a factory in Vietnam or India, like Vietnam, usually I can't talk to the factory worker because of the communication and language issue. But in India, when I go to a factory, then I'm chatting with the workers, and asking them, oh, what are you working on, and how are you doing this, and how's it going, and this and that. So that's very easy to do. But in China, you can't really do that. It's
No,
like
it's a cultural
not
thing as
considered
well.
right. Exactly. It's a cultural thing as well. Yeah. So
It's like
yeah,
the
that's
army
something
there.
that I have. Exactly. So in China, there's this whole issue of the Xinjiang province and the cotton that comes from there. And, that's one of the reasons why a lot of the big brands didn't want to buy cotton from China or cotton materials from China because of that whole issue. So in fact, many buyers are actually moving away from China because there's differences in, ideals and principles. Yeah. Okay, let's keep moving ahead because we got a lot to cover and it's already 12. We're like 45 minutes in. Okay, Turkey. So Turkey pros proximity to Europe, skilled and efficient labor, abundance of certain raw materials like cotton, and relatively well-established infrastructure. The cons of sourcing in Turkey: limited product range, again, very specific products. It's not easy to find suppliers. Again, it's quite similar, in all of these alternative markets, the issues that you find are very similar. There's a language barrier, there's high inflation rates, and materials need to be imported. So we won't delve too much into this because we're also just starting to source in Turkey, and there are a very limited number of products that you can do there. Okay. Let's talk about China real quick. Everybody knows this, but still, just to complete the picture. Yeah. So wide variety of products, established supply chains, skilled labor, developed infrastructure, availability of raw materials and components, established electronic sector. So as of today, there's no other country in the world that can really produce electronics like China does. India's electronics industry is growing. In fact, there's a lot of investment that's going to happen in the semiconductor production in the coming years. There are like at least 2 units that are coming up, and there's a lot of, the government is also investing in semiconductors. So that's going to give a boost to the electronics industry. There's of course a lot of production that's happening, for large brands. For example, washing machines and TVs and even mobile phones. Like Xiaomi has their factory here. Apple, of course, is moving a lot of their production to India now. Like I think over like 20% has already been moved from China to India, and they have a target of moving even more. So at a very high level, electronics production is increasing in India. However, it's still at the very high level where only big brands are doing it. However, there are smaller, not private label, but smaller brands, local brands that are also coming up that are making things like headphones, mobile phone chargers, things like that, like little consumer electronics products. And gradually, these products are also going to be exported. So over the next 2-3 years, this industry in India is going to grow very fast. It is already growing. The issue with India is that the domestic market is so huge that the companies that are producing products over here, they're not able to even fulfill the needs of the domestic market. So once they've fulfilled the needs of all the domestic market, that after that they're going to start exporting. So that's what's happening currently in the electronic sector in India. Also in China, of course, rising labor and production costs, ongoing regional disputes, ongoing international trade tensions, lack of IP protection, Western consumer resentment. This again a very for certain people, not of course not very widespread, and questions around ethical sourcing. So this is just to complete the whole picture, in terms of the pros and cons of different countries. Okay, so let's speed through the different products that you can find in all the different countries. And I've got slides actually that have images. So I'll just go through the images. So in India, you'll find a lot of natural materials, home decor products that are made in glass, metal, wood, marble. Indian suppliers are really good at mixing and matching different materials. So for example, you'll see over here, this is a wooden tray that has marble and wood. And this one has resin, and they're good at coming up with very unique designs with mixed materials. Leather is another big category. In fact, there are a few sellers on Amazon that are doing really, really well with these leather diaries. And we're also doing like one big order for a leather diary Amazon seller. And this is a growing category. And you'll find equestrian products, garments, bags, like all types of different leather. There's, for garments, you need the softer sheep leather, whereas for these bags, it's mostly buff leather. So you'll find all types of different leather in India. Furniture made out of wood, metal, leather, and fabric, a lot of different types. Of course, Vietnam is a much bigger market for furniture, like the traditional sofas and desks and everything. But India has more of the artistic kind, like also a lot of the antique looking furniture comes from India. And that is a very specific niche in certain countries. For example, in certain areas in the US, like Texas, this is very big, antique looking furniture. We did one order for France of these, like different types of tables that are antique looking. Jewelry, especially semi-precious stones, that's pretty huge. Diamonds, in case anybody is very adventurous. And there are lots of diamonds being cut and polished and produced here. But generally, semi-precious stones, sterling silver, gold, and of course, all types of like fashion jewelry. Footwear, not very well established, but there are a lot of companies producing sports shoes that are, relatively inexpensive. Garments, this is one of the biggest export categories, specifically, again, products made out of natural materials such as cotton, silk, linen, wool, specifically organic cotton. That is India's specialty. There are a lot of GOT certified factories in India if you're looking for organic cotton. So a lot of these, like cotton dresses, for example, they are embroidered or printed or block printed. There's embellishments, beadwork, like there's a lot of different options available in terms of garments. Pet products, so you'll find all types of like pet beds and bags. These are little pet urns, pet bowls. Eco-friendly products. So these are very interesting categories. And these products over here on either side are actually made out of cork, which is a very eco-friendly material because it comes from the bark of a tree. And this material is used to make different types of things like bags and other, office decorations and other things. Of course, it's still not a very mass market material. So it is priced more than regular PU or regular leather, but it is gaining more acceptance. And there's a lot of R&D and innovation happening in eco-friendly materials in India. So for example, there's materials that are made from banana fiber or cactus or, all of these like unique kind of materials. Again, they're very niche materials, but gaining popularity. Furnishings, so bedspreads, table linen, table napkins, table covers, macrame products, cushion covers, like huge variety of different cushion covers, different effects, embellishments, prints, embroidery, like the scope is huge. Like if you are very creative and you come to a factory in India, you get like so many ideas, seeing all the different options available that, you can come up with your own designs mixing and matching different things, different materials, and different styles of effects that you can put on the cushions, for example. Okay, so fabrics is another big category. And in terms of fabrics, there's of course the mill-made fabrics that are printed and made by a mill, but that there's also hand block printed, fabrics like this one. This is hand block printing. There's also hand loom fabrics, and this is a map that I have over here that shows all the different types of fabrics that are available from India. So these are in the south, for example, you find a lot of silk. In the north, there's a lot of embroidery.
Wow,
So
who
this,
knew
for
that
example,
there are so big the variety?
yeah, I know, it's massive. And I mean, this is just a very small selection actually, because for each state, we're just showing one fabric, but actually each state has tens of different types of fabrics. So, but like this state, for example, has embroidery. And this is a very unique kind of embroidery that is done on this sheer cloth, and it's always done in white thread. And the color of the fabric is very light colored, so that the white thread looks really beautiful on it. Then there's tie and dye over here. There's mirror work. There's a lot of silk and wool in North India. There's shawls. For example, these pashmina shawls, they come from North India. And then the South also has more like handloom and silk and things like that. So if you're creative, there's so many things that you can do with these handloom products, these different types of, products that are available, like home furnishings or garments. I mean, it's just, okay, here's a map that has all the different types of products that are produced in India, specifically for Amazon, generally for Amazon sellers. So most of the production happens in the north. There are production hubs that specialize in specific materials. So for example, Moradabad is the hub for metal and wood home products. Khurja is for ceramics. Kanpur is for leather. Firozabad is for glass products. Agra is for marble and stone products. Delhi has a lot of like home furnishings, leather, electronics, and also apparel. Jaipur is a city that does a variety of different products like wooden furniture, jewelry, fabrics, pottery, stationery. Panipat is home furnishings. So it is important to source the right product from the right city so that you're getting the best price, because the supply chains, of course, are more developed in those cities. If you do get a supplier that is not from this particular production hub of a particular product, then more than likely they are a trading company. They are just, sourcing products from different factories. Okay, let's talk about Vietnam products now. So one of the things that Vietnam does is a lot of bamboo and rattan. And the rattan fab products that are coming out of Vietnam are actually very high quality, very well made. There's not only rattan, there's seagrass. And there's a huge variety of seagrass, rattan, and all of these things that are available. And they make so many different kinds of products, like all of these storage baskets and pet beds and laundry baskets and toys and cat trees. So huge variety. There are factories that just specialize in rattan, and they do a huge variety of different products. So anything rattan. There's also things like placemats and rugs and table runners, tablecloths, like huge variety. Okay, lacquerware. So this is something that is very special and unique to Vietnam specifically. Again, very beautiful designs, more decorative, high-end premium products. You may not necessarily
I've never heard about it.
for
That's
Amazon.
like stone. What was kind of?
No, it's like a metal. It's metal, and then there's like a special finish that's given on the metal to like a special coating to make it like shiny and yeah. Ceramics and bone china. So again, that's a big category from Vietnam, and you'll find that there are a lot of like hotel wear kind of items as well, like this one over here, plain white, more inexpensive kind of products, and they're more of the artistic kinds as well that are hand painted and more unique and premium designs too. I don't think a lot of Amazon sellers do ceramic items because of the breakage, and because of other issues.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a huge category in Vietnam: bags, backpacks, and suitcases. Specifically backpacks. And if you're looking for any type of specialty backpack, like a camera bag or a medicine bag. Those you find that suppliers are able to do really, really well in Vietnam. And in fact, also things like baby carriers, for example, or baby bags, that's pretty popular and produced at a very large scale. Okay, wooden furniture and wooden products. Now, for wooden furniture, in fact, Vietnam is the largest exporter of furniture, even bigger than China. Like in some years, Vietnam is ahead of China in terms of furniture manufacturing and exports, which I find so strange because I mean, China is such a massive country and Vietnam is like such a teeny tiny country, but still they're competing with China in terms of, the overall value of exports of furniture. So for furniture, Vietnam is doing really well. There's, of course, a lot of knockdown furniture, flat pack that is suitable for Amazon or even the smallish kind of furniture that Amazon sellers can source. Of course, as Amazon sellers, we don't want to do sofas and beds and those kinds of big things. Clothing and textiles, again, a huge variety of different types of products. There are a lot of cotton products, but a lot of polyester and man-made fibers as well, specifically sportswear, swimwear, activewear, outerwear such as jackets. And again, a lot of these materials are imported from China and manufactured in Vietnam. Footwear. So as I mentioned, this is a big category and it includes all types of footwear like sneakers and winter boots and slippers and dress shoes. So this industry is doing really, really well in Vietnam. Packaging. So some really good packaging options available for things like food and beverages, like if you want to do tea, coffee, for example, cosmetics, pharmaceutical items, beverages, barcodes, printing, labeling. Plastic and rubber goods, especially daily use items for the home, like storage containers and dustbins. Of course, the issue with these kind of items is the MOQs are higher. Unless you are sourcing a product that the supplier already has a mold of and it's a running product with the supplier, then the MOQs can be lower. But typically for these kinds of products, the MOQs are pretty high. So, at least one container of mixed products or maybe half a container. Okay, let's talk about Turkey real quick. So apparel is a big category in Turkey, and especially a lot of designer apparel and specifically formal wear. So this was a trade show that I had visited and I clicked these pictures actually. So there's a lot of like, this suit over here is made of linen. So it looks very premium and very distinct and very unique, in fact. And then a lot of other formal wear that again has some sort of character and style. These products will not be comparable to China in terms of price. The prices will be higher, but they are more, premium products. And the advantage is that they are shipped to nearby regions of Turkey, so like Europe and the Middle East and all, because of course of the proximity to these countries. Then again, wooden products, there are a lot of different options available there. There's ash wood, oak wood that is used, bamboo. Again, they focus more on designs. They don't really compete on price with China because they can't. They mostly focus on design and unique items. These are, again, a lot of the bamboo wood products that, they make. There's actually a knife that's made out of bamboo and it actually works. Didn't know that you could actually cut vegetables with a bamboo knife, but you can. Metal products and kind of lamps. So again, these are very Turkish style products, but they are being manufactured in large volumes, and there is sort of a niche market for these kinds of items too. These are very traditional Turkish, like salt and pepper mills. Okay, towels and bed linen. This is a huge category, and I mean the types of towels that are available there, I have not seen anywhere else. Like all of these embroideries and embellishments and how soft the materials is. Like Turkish cotton is very, very high quality, and you'll find, again, more premium items over here. Also things like hammam towels. This is of course very popular. It's got like a pile on one end on one side and then it's cotton on the other side. So that's a very unique kind of fabric. And then bathrobes, again, huge variety of any type of toweling kind of items. So bathrobes is, one of those. Okay, private label skincare and cosmetics. So this is something that a lot of Turkish suppliers have developed and specialize in. They do a lot of R&D for these types of products, and then they offer different options in terms of the bottling to private label these products, and they make it easy for you to private label. So they'll just say that, okay, these are the 4 options that you have for the bottles, and here's how you can place your brand. They have done the R&D. They have, they meet all of the certifications, all of the requirements. They'll give you, the ingredient list, and everything that you need is ready. So it's very easy to private label skincare and cosmetics in Turkey. Okay, quickly sourcing tips. We're out of time, Guy. Aren't we? Is it okay
that's okay.
Yeah, is that
yes,
okay?
of course. We
Yeah,
never,
okay,
we never
cool.
said it's gonna be just 1 hour.
Okay, cool. Right. So, okay, here are some sourcing tips in general for alternative markets, but of course, some of these also apply to China. So first of all, pick a factory that fits your size. And this, I think, is relevant anywhere, regardless of where you source from, because a big factory will not care if you are a small fish. And a small factory, if you're sourcing big volumes, then you definitely need a bigger factory to be able to scale for you. Understand their capability. Now, what happens is in many of these countries, and especially in India, actually, suppliers specialize in certain processes, certain materials, certain products, and they outsource a lot of the other things. So we've got to understand what exactly is their specialty, their expertise, by asking them deep questions about what materials they work with, what are the previous products that they have done, what types of buyers do they work with. Because, for example, some suppliers might say that, let's say they specialize in wooden products, right? So they'll have all the equipment and everything of wood in-house. And if you give them a metal product to make, for example, they will outsource it and they will have less control over quality and other things. Of course, they might be able to do it, but again, they are dependent on the subcontractor. Whereas if they're doing it in-house, they have more control. So you've got to understand the capability, because again, there is a culture of saying yes to everything. So that's another issue as well. Use local resources, boots on the ground. Again, this really helps because sometimes you don't really know what the reality is. You might find a supplier in Alibaba, but actually there's somebody sitting in their basement, in their pajamas and buying products from different factories and selling to you and claiming to be a factory. And this happens in China too. I mean, half the companies on Alibaba are actually trading companies, because it's just so easy to, set up your website on Alibaba. Of course, Turkey and Vietnam translation help will be needed. Always conduct third-party in-production and final inspections. This is just, good practice. It also really makes the supplier more alert, and they take care of, quality much, much more. And it's very important to tell them upfront that you're going to do an inspection, and also to make sure that you are giving them specific criteria that you will inspect. Because if after all the products are made, if you tell them you're going to inspect certain aspects that they were not aware of, then they're going to say, hey, you didn't tell me you're going to check that, right? Otherwise, I would have taken care of that or whatever. So make your list of whatever QC criteria that you have beforehand. Clear and correct specs and requirements. Again, don't leave anything for them to assume, because quality is very subjective. Like, what is quality to maybe you guys might not be high quality to somebody else, right? Because quality in sourcing is actually just adherence to specifications. That's what quality is. So don't let the supplier, they're going to take shortcuts. They're going to do whatever is cheapest for them, whatever brings them the most profit. So, and at the end of the day, they're going to say, you didn't tell us to do that. Like little things. For example, if your cartons, if you want very sturdy cartons, specify that you want a 7-ply carton. Otherwise, they might use like a 3-ply or a 5-ply. right? So these little
Yeah.
things really matter.
Never assume they will be like a big
Yeah.
head, like they will be proactive and think for your
Exactly.
best.
Yeah, they will not. They'll think for their own best, right? What saves them money. Of course, they want to get your repeat orders, so they're not gonna, like, in most cases, suppliers, I believe, are, have good intentions because they do want to do long-term business. But yeah, they will take shortcuts. Factory audits. So sometimes it's very easy just to do a factory audit and find out what the factory's capabilities are. Just get a third party to go in, and, like, if you can't visit the factory, then we offer that service, and there are other third party inspection companies that offer factory auditing services as well. So this is just an easy way to vet a supplier and make sure that they have the capability of manufacturing the product that you want. Visit the factory if possible. This, of course, changes so many things. Like, once you meet a person face to face, and in India especially, a lot of the transactions are very relationship based. Like, business is relationship based. I'm like, you have to call people and talk to them. Just writing emails will not cut it, will not work. So that really helps. Develop relationships and follow up and be patient, because things don't move as fast as they do in China. Like, China has perfected the export SOP and process and everything. And most of the factories, they have like an army of marketing people who are just waiting there to receive your RFQ on Alibaba and just reply to you within 5 minutes of your sending an inquiry. But that is not the case in any of these other countries. Like, in most of these countries, if you send an email to a supplier via their website, 90% of the time they're not going to reply to you, because their email is going to be lost in some space somewhere. It's not going to reach the right person. So, because they're not very well organized that way. So be patient when you are sourcing from these alternative markets. Okay, should we just finish the presentation? I just have a few more slides to talk about our sourcing trips.
Yeah, let's
and
go.
Then we can do Q&A, right? We'll just shut off the slides. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about our 3 sourcing trips that we do to India, Vietnam, and Turkey. And I believe that wherever you're sourcing from, going to the source really helps you to get the best prices, to see the best products that you will never see when you're sourcing online, and also, of course, meet suppliers face to face and meet the good suppliers that are not on Alibaba and not just trading companies on Alibaba. So most welcome to join our learning, sourcing, and cultural guided tours to these 3 alternative sourcing markets. So just to give you an idea of the dates, in case anyone's really interested, Turkey sourcing trip is coming up in November. We've got our India sourcing trip in Feb 2025, and then Vietnam sourcing trip in April 2025 as well. So why should you attend a sourcing trip? So first of all, increase profitability by sourcing innovative products in these alternative markets. When you go to the source, when you go to the factory, you get better prices, better treatment, because factories know that you have come all the way, you've spent time, money, effort to visit them. So you are a serious buyer. You are going to be placing orders. You're not just somebody who's sending inquiries online and just getting prices. So when they know that you're serious, then they give you better prices. They give you better terms because they want your business. It speeds up the sourcing process so much. Like, when you're sourcing online, you're actually little things like getting RFQs or getting quotes from suppliers or getting samples from suppliers can take weeks, if not months. But when you are at a factory in their showroom, or if you're visiting a trade show, you can touch and feel, and you can see so many products. You get so many product ideas that you would have never thought about, just sourcing online. Of course, touching and feeling products and getting a sense of the quality, that is also a very advantageous. Finding new suppliers for existing products, in case you are already sourcing in China, for example, you might want to come to India or any of the other countries to find new suppliers. Learning all about sourcing from these countries. So on our sourcing trips, we have information sessions, conferences. We invite experts that specialize in sourcing, logistics, quality control. So we basically create like a course, a mini crash course in sourcing from each of these countries. So that's one big advantage as well. You can get a better understanding of which products can be sourced from where, meet with suppliers and service providers as well, visit factories, immerse in the country's culture and history. So for each of our trips, we add a little bit of cultural activities or sightseeing so that you can get a sense of, what that country really represents in terms of culture and history as well. And of course, networking with other sellers, other e-commerce experts and sourcing professionals that I don't even have to tell you guys. I'm sure you know how important that is in our world where we, sit in isolation and work in our rooms independently. It's just like so nice to be able to meet other like-minded people. So in case you're interested, these are the websites, very simple to remember. turkeysourcingtrip.com, indiasourcingtrip.com, vietnamsourcingtrip.com. And in case you have any questions, you can reach out to us at info@indiasourcingtrip.com. And you can use the code RPG to get up to $150 off. And in case anyone's interested, in terms of the pricing, it ranges from around $4,000 to $5,500. And these are all inclusive trips where the hotel, transportation, food, cultural activities, like everything is included in the price you pay. So once you pay, all you need to do is arrive at the airport of a particular city. And then from there on, everything is covered for you. So
I personally know people from the Amazon industry that attended these trips, and they were amazed, and it was a blast for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. That's the end of my slides. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Great. Okay. So we did not go that late. Yeah. There was a small debate, interesting debate here in Hebrew in the chat. Like in the end, like there is a sense that overall, in general, still China is like preferable for like sourcing. If you don't need to go like into niches, like in specific products. Your comment.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for anything like plastic injection or some sort of a widget that is manufactured in very high volumes on a machine, then yeah, China is a place to go. But if you are looking for textile-based products or wooden or leather or any of those materials, then the alternative market. So yeah, you're right. I mean, you go to these alternative markets for the products that they specialize in. You cannot source all products in all markets, and that's what I really opened and my discussion and my presentation with, that yeah, China is still the main production hub. However, there are a lot of other emerging hubs, and in the future, sourcing is going to be fragmented.
But I also think that we, the sellers on Amazon, we're so used to these like regular commodities that we see on all these sourcing tools and the softwares and how they teach us to source products, like to hunt products for Amazon. It's never goes to these like niches, like for the spatial products, for this like handmade products, design patterns and things like that. This is way out of the box for the regular seller. So that's also like I guess a reason. I want to finish with like you explaining a little about sourcing with you, with your company. How does it work? How much time it takes? What is the process for people that might be interested?
Yes, definitely. So we, of course, offer sourcing services as well. So we offer an end-to-end solution where we manage the entire process for you, starting from finding the right supplier. So all you need to do is tell us your product requirements and specifications and quantities and packaging. And then we find the right supplier for you. We develop samples, we work on packaging, we ship samples to you. We help you with payments, and most importantly, quality control and inspections. That's something that we also, take responsibility for when you're sourcing via us. And so we go to the factory and do inspections. If the order value is over $10,000, we'll do 2 inspections. If it is less, then we generally do 1, but as needed. If we think that we need 2 inspections for some reason, we'll do multiple inspections, And our role is to basically solve problems, because in sourcing and manufacturing, there's always going to be some issues or the other. It's just the way that the industry works. And so we're not only here to, of course, monitor what's going on, but also to guide you and tell you that, okay, do things this way, or let's do this, or let's do that. That will help you save time or make the product better, or improve the product quality, or save you money, for example. So we're basically your guide as you're sourcing products from India. And in terms of the commercials, we charge $500 or 10% of order value, whichever is higher. That's how we charge. And yeah,
which I think
it.
Personally, this is super fair, because it's like it's fixed, and in the end of the deal, like how much you're gonna pay for it, and definitely for people that look for special things, they need this help, and it's I guess for first orders at least, it's much more safe and professional to work with a company. Definitely, I must try to source myself with you guys outside of China. This is one of my missions, I guess, in the upcoming year, to diversify myself as well. So it will be interesting to do like a case study maybe, and for the guys in the community. Thank you. People are amazed with here. I will just read you a couple of comments. Thank you. You were very insightful. It was filled with very important info and tips. Yeah, definitely you can see also the messages. Thanks a lot for everybody. So it was really interesting, and thank you for staying that late. I know it's like 2, 3 a.m. Over there.
It's 12:45 a.m. Not that bad.
Okay, 12:45, not that bad. Okay, but still, thank you very much for your time.
Most welcome.
And speak again. We will definitely should cooperate and do more things for the community and for the sellers. And thank you for your time, and thank you for you guys that you stayed up also in the 10 o'clock for some sellers. It's after a day of work. It's also not taking for granted. Thank you guys.
Exactly.
Good night.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thanks, guys.